So, what happens to Mordor after the One Ring is destroyed when Gollum falls into the cracks of Mount Doom, thus fulfilling the prophecy that Gandalf stated, that he would have some part to play? Well, a lot of crazy stuff starts going down because Mount Doom starts erupting and an earthquake does shake the northern portion of Mordor. All the structures that Sauron had created using the ring or had maintained in his time in Mordor collapse and are utterly destroyed to the point where Barad-dûr, the dark tower that he resides in, falls into ruin because this tower was built using the One Ring. It's what maintains its foundation. To the point where when Isildur cut the One Ring from Sauron's hand during the War of the Last Alliance, the tower collapsed, but the foundation stood strong because the One Ring was not destroyed. But what happens to all the armies? Because in the movies, we see them all collapse into these crevices. What actually happens is that when Sauron is made impotent, and you see his great shadow reaching out and thus just blown away by the wind because he can no longer hold form without the ring, the armies start going crazy because they have been being forced to some extent by Sauron's will to fight for him. They hate each other. We see this in examples with some of the orcs. We see orcs in Minas Morgul and the Tower of Cirith hate each other, or even the Uruk-hai of Isengard and the orcs of Mordor hating each other too. And what ends up happening is they lose their minds. Some of them throw themselves into these crevices that open up. Others just run away in terror, and some others just, kind of try to keep fighting but fail in the end. But there are some groups that do keep trying to fight the army of the West and the captains of the West, Aragorn and them. It's the Easterlings and the Hurra, the people of the South. They are very proud and they try to stand up. Some of them still run away, and others actually sue for pardon and throw their weapons on the ground and do not want to do this anymore. But what happens to Mordor after this? With the volcano pretty much destroying itself, the tower gone, all the structures destroyed where, Gandalf witnesses it and Frodo has a vision of all of them being destroyed. What ends up happening is that Mordor is kind of left to the people who were enslaved there. Because in the south is more fertile land in Mordor. And it's there that Sauron has enslaved people that he's captured to work the farms to feed his armies in the machinations of war. What ends up happening is that now that everything's been cleared out, and this area is still livable to some extent, those slaves are given the land of Mordor to make their own realm, under, of course, the rule of the new King Elisar or Aragorn. But it's one of those things where it's like, yes, Mordor is this dark place of shadow, but in the end, some shadow can be changed. It could be repelled, and it's a passing thing, like Samwise says, and a place can see beauty once again.